feel like if you watch this podcast from the beginning, you can track the decline of my mental state. And I think that's kind of neat. It's like a time capsule, but for mental illness. Ain't that fun?
Baby, we only 10 episodes in.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying it's always going to be like this or it's going to continue going down, but like, it's like the last semester of college ever. This is how bad things can get. Hey, welcome to Song of Spice and Rhani, a Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire podcast for the girls, the gays, the theys, and the well-behaved straights. I am your host, Rhani.
And I am your host, Spicer.
Yeah, you are. And we, every week, will be breaking down 3 chapters of the Song of Ice and Fire book series, going over what happens, the lore, theories, and our favorite deaths. What died for you this week, Spicer?
My soul, I think a part of my soul, I think I made a Horcrux last night. Just so the audience is aware, the reason I look and sound like death is because I died last night, is what happened. Like, I died. I finally got over a cold, and I was like, I'm gonna go, go on the town, get a little Turntina, and she went to Turntina, and she's a diva down. I am recovering from the worst hangover I think ever. It was one of those hangovers of where you wake up and you're like, am I still drunk because the room is spinning? So don't do alcohol, kids. Just say no. It's dumb. It's bad. Don't do it. Don't. Alcohol is bad. Anyways, my fun side died last night. I'm turning 30. Anyways, let's talk about dragons.
Yeah, let's talk about dragons. And for anyone curious at home, the reason that I sound so chipper instead of, not, is because I am a consummate performer. And you don't know what my internal struggle is because I bury that shit deep. You don't know what the inside's like, and it's not good. Okay, so let's start off with Eddard VI. I can relate to Ned Stark here because he's pissy. Ned Stark is having to deal with everyone complaining about the hands tourney and all the shit it's causing, including lots of crime and the decapitation of a random woman whose head was found in the baptismal font of the sept. Because this is what happens when you have a tourney. You have someone just decapitating people. Jesus, George. But don't worry.
That's the real story, is who
yeah.
decapitating people.
Who is this fucking side Jack the Ripper storyline going on here? I don't fucking know. Anyway, but the investigation continues. Ned Stark is on a mission. He's gonna figure out what's going on. And we learned some interesting tidbits. Jon Arryn is going around talking to people, but oh no, he wasn't alone. He had Stannis Baratheon with him. And that's kind of weird because one of the details we find out is that Jon Arryn went to a brothel. And Ned's like, that's weird. That doesn't sound like Jon. But then also Stannis went with him to the brothel, and he's like, that's double weird because Stannis is uncomfortable around women, clothed or otherwise. But don't worry, because I'm gonna go start doing the investigation myself. So Ned, that's who it is. Jesus. Ned goes and is retracing Jon Arryn's steps. He goes to an armory where he talks to this guy named Tobo. That's a fun name. And Tobo is a good armorer, and he's got an apprentice. But hey, this apprentice looks weirdly familiar. He got black hair. He got blue eyes. He's young, and he's very possessive over his work. Oh no, it's Gendry. Who's Gendry? It's Robert Baratheon's bastard. Oh, are we looking for bastards? The mystery continues. What you think of mysteries, Spicer? I'm fine.
Remember earlier when you said that you're a consummate performer? You can't.
Yeah, did you not see the energy, the verve? Did you not? Did you not? Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. I am giving the audience what they came here for, okay?
Burnout is the brand. Burnout is the brand.
Yes, it is, and we love it. It's fine if you don't feel good as long as you do it with energy. But anyway, tell me what you think about Ned, your favorite fucking cop.
I was about to say once again, she's on the case, but the case has gone cold. Oh no, we have dead end
Oh,
leads. Where's he? There's so many. Whichever with everything that we've answered, we find more questions, more questions. It's becoming a little more film noir now. Like it's becoming like less cops, and it's becoming more like of all the Ginjoy. Right? Like it's become of all the armories in all the world. Like Ned, like there's like a sexy saxophone in the background.
now.
This man, his name was Tobo, and his wine was almost as as chipper as his personality. Like I don't know, like how do they describe things in film noir? I'm not well
You
either.
you normally watch the film noir. You don't write it yourself. You can't be expected to come up with the script.
How dare you? How dare you? You literally directed a noir that I wrote. Oh, never mind. I don't have time for this.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, that's right. You literally, I wrote a play that was a film noir, and you directed. Oh my Christ!
It was a musical. It's fine.
No, two actually, two.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine.
Okay, whatever.
You should be better at it then, hungover or not.
Oh my God. But anyways, what I wrote first is, Dad is so annoyed with these bills. Dad is so
Oh God,
annoyed.
yeah.
Dad is so
Yeah.
fed up. He does not want to hear about this goddamn tourney no more. He is
No.
so mad about it. He is like, I didn't want this, and now also there's just heads. There's just heads. What once again, Jack the Ripper is on the loose. That's who I want to know. I don't want to know who ends up on the pointy chair. I want to know who is just decapitating people in St. Peter's Basilica. Like what is
Well, the wild thing is, I don't think that detail is ever mentioned again.
that's the
It's
thing? It's just dropped.
George just dropped it like, and as an example of crime, like that's the example. Jesus, my God.
Like, I feel like if that were to, even in like medieval Europe, if that were to happen, that would have been like a major scandal. But
Yeah,
another day in King's Landing. Um,
yeah,
which I also like. I do love the way that he describes King's Landing. I will say like the writing for all the chapters this week, such good descriptions, like good,
yeah.
like very vivid, tangible descriptions of like places, and it's giving London town vibes. It's giving it's giving Soho. It's giving. It's giving Cheapside, babes. You're from the Cheapside, babes. It's giving Essex, babes. It's giving Essex.
Yeah.
I do love because I was listening to the audiobook this week, and my favorite
Mhm,
is I listened to the one on Spotify, and I love the
mhm.
accents this guy uses. They are
Oh,
fabulous.
people talk about. I think it's Roy Dotrice. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
People have opinions, and some people ride hard for this man, and some people do not. So I'm glad to hear your take.
Oh no, it was so funny because it's like I don't know what half of these accents are. Some of them make sense because he's giving us just like a very kind of typical like, oh, I'm a poor person, right? Like,
Yeah.
but then sometimes like the Lannisters' accents, I don't know what the fuck Tyrion's accent is. Like this weird Dutch man, like just walking around like with fucking wooden shoes. Like, oh my god. Anyways, but yeah, no, Dad is so annoyed, and I also love once again. I'm not sure if this was on purpose with George, but like there was like a turn of phrase he was talking like when Ned was describing Renly, and he said he thought it passing queer, and I went,
Mm.
"Hey, George,
Hey,
hey,
hey.
dropping that gay shit in." Oh my god. Another phrase. Once again, great writing this week.
Yeah.
Nervous as a maiden on her wedding night.
Hmm. Jesus.
Jesus,
Trauma.
nasty work, George. Also,
Nasty.
I am here for my new favorite diva, Mastermont. I love this
Yeah.
diva so much.
Yeah.
I want to know her story. She seems
Yeah.
great. She is so much. It is. You know what it's giving? It's
Mhm.
giving my friend.
Yeah. Oh, totally. 1,000%. It's Tobo is such like the sly businessman who's gonna sell you on the products. It's so great. Oh, no one makes it like me. I am incredible. Look at this shit right here. They try to rip me off. They try to imitate me, but no one can imitate the original. Here, would you like some new armor, Lord Hand? Like,
It will
okay,
not break.
no, no, I
It
don't.
broke. Like,
Oh,
no, God. You know what? There's this cobbler that I go to because I'm that bitch who has like
what?
I have a
What?
because I have antique
A
shoes.
cobbler?
Because I have
Did you just
antique.
say cobbler?
Yeah, I go to a cobbler.
I don't. Spicer, you're a fucking cartoon character. You go to a cobbler in the year of our Lord 2025? Like, I'm happy that the cobblers apparently still have work. That's cool. But you go to a cobbler?
I have
God.
I have antique shoes. Like you have to take care of
Of
them.
course you have antique shoes because you're a fucking cartoon character. Go on. Tell me about the cobbler. What did he
Anyway,
cobble for you?
like, well, because this guy, he is like he clearly he's an immigrant, but he's been living in the country for like years now. But he is this man because the way in which he will upsell me everything. Like when I come in and I'm like, "Hey, I just need this like soul redone." He's like, "Ah, I can polish it for you." And, "Oh, do you look at this? I got these in. Do you want some of these? And I can add this on. And what about this?" So like, "Oh, isn't this nice? Like demonstrating for me like it is strong." Right? And like at one point he's like, "I am the shoe doctor." And that's what's going that is what is going on with this man. I love this diva. I love it so much. Love this character.
Hmm.
I will say like on a more sort of story note,
Hmm.
it's so interesting reading the book, and like once again, I haven't just seen the first season of the TV show in forever, but like
Yeah.
it is. I'm like, oh yeah, what happens to Ned makes sense.
Hmm.
Like this bitch is sticking his nose in everyone's business. He is the way that he has no subtlety about it, no nuance about it. He is just he might as well just like walk up to Cersei and be like, "Hey, I'm plotting against you actually." So, um
It's so frustrating, and people like, okay, two things can be true because people get really angry when you point out that like Ned made some choices that were not very smart, because they're like, Ned's a good guy. I'm like, those are two different questions
yeah.
right there. Like, Ned is a great guy, great dad, great girl dad, boy dad, the whole shebang. Okay, queer dad. Um,
Am
but
I?
but yeah, but you know what? He is not a great tactical thinker.
No.
Okay, what do you know at the moment? You know that John Aaron was poisoned. You know that John Aaron was investigating something, which in turn led to his poisoning. You've also been let in on the fact that there are literally spies everywhere, that there are multiple, that there are overlaying, layered spy networks because there's multiple people who have spy networks and they are all watching you. So, what are you going to do? You are personally going to retrace the steps that John Aaron took in the investigation right before he died. Do you not think that at least one of the spy networks, not even all the spy networks, but one of them might put together that you are trying to figure out whatever he was, which eventually led to his death? So do you not think that maybe someone who sees you doing that might have a problem with it? No?
It's just like I need you to think this to its logical conclusion, Ned. I need you to sit down
Yes.
and just play it out beat by bit. This is why Catelyn needed to be by his side at all times. Like,
Yeah.
like because Catelyn
Yeah.
is the only bitch who understands like what is going down. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god, it is because then when we get like later when we get to Catelyn's chapter, she's doing the opposite. She's literally sitting there being like, "Well, I could go to my dad. No, I can't go to my dad because like he is not well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could cause him to die, and like also like that would alert other people, and like we're not ready to do that yet. Like we'll do that later. I could go to my sister's. No, that'd be a little too dangerous. Like blah 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 blah. Like she's like thinking every single step through,
Yeah.
and then like she's just not thinking about it. Like that's the problem. Like
Something I love in particular with these two chapters being back to back, Ned in his investigation and Catelyn eventually dealing with the whole Tyrion situation, is it kind of forces them into the opposite scenario that they kind of thrive in. Whereas like Ned, I'm sorry, is great in like spur of the moment type shit. Like he's a good fighter, he's like competent, he can spring into action, etc. But long game, not his strength. Catelyn, kind of the opposite. She is always thinking of the long game, and so being forced to act quickly is very alien to her. And so having them both like do have to like deal with the opposing person's like situation is very interesting, and I think unfortunately like even though we like understand them both like leads to some eventual not great results, but whatever, I'm getting ahead of myself.
yeah.
um
Um
Something I wanted to talk about though,
yeah.
with Tobo, because we mentioned it. I love how Tobo is like a performer, as we've talked about. He's selling you. He's giving you the hard sell. But the second he realizes that he ain't making a sale, it drops. It goes away. She doesn't give a shit anymore. She's like, oh, you don't want to buy? Okay, fine. I will do the bare minimum because I literally have to because you're a government official, and that is it. Fuck you otherwise, sir.
Yeah. And then literally when Ned is like, and it's so funny because like when Ned's like, "Oh, I'd like to buy that helmet from you. It looks really good." And he's like, "No, it's mine." And then immediately Tobo's like, "Fuck you, bitch. I almost made a sale." What?
Please, we need money. This is a business. Not it's not a tour of the king's bastards for people. Jesus.
Why are you cock blocking me, bro? Like just make the sale. Make the sale. Oh my god. But no, I Tobo is a diva. Love that diva. Love that
Mm-hmm.
diva. Um yes, my only other thing that I will say my only other thought I have on this chapter is I love how when Tobo is describing to Ned how he came by the boy. And I
Mm-hmm.
love how Ned clocks it immediately because he's like, oh, he's like, I didn't, there was no fee. I found him on the street, and he just was so
Mm-hmm.
promising, and this is just, I'm paying it forward, whatever. And Ned's like, bullshit, like you would not
Mm-hmm.
do that. You would not do that. You have to put so much time, effort, resources, and money into this person. You're not gonna do that without making money. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, no, there was a guy. He paid me. He paid me double what I normally get, and it was, all up front. And I don't know his name, but it's like I love the way it's described. It's like Ned's like, you know who that was, like Ned, Ned.
But I was gonna say, but I like love that about Tobo though, because this is like what actually makes me like him. I'm like, oh, at the end of the day, you are a good guy because like you know exactly who this kid is. You have eyes, you can see, and you're not saying shit. Your lips are sealed, and you're like, I don't know shit. I don't know who he was before he got here. I know he's here right now, and he's in my care, and I'm taking care of him. So like, otherwise, like, no, we're like, don't ask me questions, please.
Well, and it's like Tobo, because Tobo knows how to play the game. Even this, like, this fucking backstreet salesman here knows how to play the game better than Ned, right? Like he understands snitches get stitches. Like I'm not going to tell you
Yeah.
shit. Like shut the,
Hmm.
like maybe you should try following Tobo's example, Ned. Shut the fuck up.
Please, you have children, sir. You have an entire region of the country. Ned. And again, this is like the tragedy because it's like watching like a car accident in slow motion.
Yeah.
Because like he is a good guy. Like Ned is easily one of the best people in this whole fucking universe, and you want him to succeed, and you are just watching him like make these, I would argue, pretty obvious mistakes. And like, yeah, later there's a lot of like bad luck that coincides that like really leads things to going wrong. But even from the get-go here, like he's not setting himself up well so that when a mistake does happen, it is, 10 times more catastrophic than it would have been had he been a little more careful.
It we were rooting for you. We were rooting for you. Yeah, but
Oh
that's
my god. Yeah.
the,
No. We
I
are all Tyra.
We are all Tyra in this moment. Like, God damn it, Ned. Keep your mouth shut. Snitches get stitches. Like, keep your nose out of other people's business. Like, or if you're gonna do it smart. Do it smart.
Mhm.
Because you know what he should. Because if
Mhm.
Ned were smarter, and once again, like, oh God, I'm gonna get so much hate for this. Because like Ned is a good guy, but like, if he were smart, you know what he would have done is he would have said, "How much did he pay you?" And you say, "Pay me this
Mhm.
much," and you would have been like, "Great, here's double that. Keep your fucking mouth shut. You never saw me enter this establishment." Like,
Yeah. But even that, like, I don't even think. Well, actually, I don't remember, so I'm gonna be careful. I don't remember Tobo being the problem. The problem is like Ned is going there. He's physically
yeah,
going there.
yeah.
And like it's one thing if like he sends all of his guards in 12 different directions, which he kind of does. He thinks he's covering himself by like, "Oh, we'll all go at the same time." But like, "No, bitch, you are part of the problem too. You are the one who's going to get the most eyes on you." And like, yeah, Jory and the other boys are probably also going to be followed as well, but like you also participating is like the bigger offense. I don't know, in my opinion.
Literally wearing your seal of office. Literally wearing your
Yeah,
seal of
yeah,
office, walking around
yeah.
to the streets, being like, "Hi, official
Everyone.
government business." Like,
Mhm. Everyone can see it. Everyone. Everyone.
no one's gonna know.
P-
No one's gonna know.
People who don't know what Ned Stark's face is now know what Ned Stark's face is. Why? Because he's wearing a giant name badge, essentially. Like, Jesus Christ.
He should just wear it like a big sign on his back that says "Sneaky Boy."
Yeah.
Like,
He should do his own like theme music as he's going along with sneaky, 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 sneaky. Like, yeah,
it's Scooby Doo. It's the tiptoeing in
yeah.
the mansion. But other than that, lovely chapter.
Mhm.
Our next installment in our Agatha Christie novel. Like,
Yep. Yeah. No,
was-
I agree. Love Ned, and yeah, we'll see you after this break.
we're doing great.
And we're back, moving right along to Catelyn V. Okay, Catelyn is trudging. She's trudging on the windy, whippy, wet road. Alliteration. And they're gonna stop at an inn because it's raining. Because it's always raining. Because Riverlands. God damn it, the Riverlands suck. But on the way to the inn, they pass by a lord, and Roderick is freaking out because he's like, "Oh no, they're gonna recognize you!" And Catelyn's like, "He hasn't seen me since I was a teenager. This man isn't gonna know who I am," and he doesn't. So she goes into the inn, being like, "Yeah, no one's gonna recognize me. I haven't been here in 20 fucking years. Okay, whatever, 15, whatever, you get it." But she goes, her and Roderick, they're having some dinner. A singer named Marillion comes over and starts, just being a fuckboy, and telling them about how awesome he is and how he's like Edmure Tully's brother, which is Catelyn's brother. And Catelyn knows that he actually hates singers because the singer one time stole a girl from him. So she's like, "Oh, you're full of shit. Cool. But don't worry, because it's going to get exciting because Tyrion Lannister walks in. Now, remember, Catelyn thinks that Tyrion is the one who tried to kill Bran. Whoopsie day. And she's like, "Okay, just don't look over at me." But oh no, that fuckboy singer is like, "Hey, I'm an attention whore. Look at me, Tyrion, please. Senpai, please. I'm begging you." And then Tyrion looks over, notices Catelyn, is like, "Hey, Catelyn." He says it loud so everyone hears it. She's like, "Well, fuck. With limited choices, let me rally the boys and let's take Tyrion captive." Boom. Mic drop. End of chapter. What you think, Spice?
Um, I toss a coin to your witcher.
Ooh.
God, you know what I also thought with this fucking singer character? I was like, this is every terrible theater kid. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did.
Sorry, on the Zoom, balloons just went by Spicer's face. I don't. Whatever. Keep going. We're keeping it. We're keeping it in
We're keeping it
because
in.
just the shock.
The show.
Go on.
Um, But no, this is every terrible theater kid you've ever encountered. Like this
Yeah.
is such strong theater kid energy of like I can sing you a song, and there's like who's the best singer you've ever heard, and it's like I really like this guy, and they're like I'm better than that old queen, like oh my god, and I also was like, was I like this?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I
yeah.
was like,
I
oh,
wasn't. I was different. I wasn't like the other girls.
shut up! Oh my god. But no, I got some bad flashbacks to myself and my friends. So thought about my sins. I also just man, that George was dropping some bars in this chapter
Hmm.
with the way that he describes like the rain, like
Yeah.
the way it got so it was like poetry, and like I'm not like a big I don't really care for like in writing when in novels is why I struggle with novels like when novelists get a little like poetic in their prose and like let me tell you
Hmm.
all of the descriptive ways to describe this. It's not my thing. I don't care for it. The way that I was like, oh, this is lovely, like
Hmm.
like it was so
I sorry, I just wanted to add on to that. Like, one of the things that I think gets undersold about these books and like George's writing in general is the prose is like really good.
yeah.
It's just like the craft, the sentence level like writing. Like these are well crafted sentences that are like beautiful and very engaging, and like I just like I want people to appreciate that element a little bit more, because people like get caught up in the story of it all, the characters, which are all amazing, but like no, just like the way he's able, like you said, to describe the rain is just like damn, I have like feelings now. Weird.
Oh gosh, uh what's the word that it means the smell of rain when it hits the dirt?
Oh fuck. No, I just we were talking about this in class. Fucking hell.
Pet,
It's
petra, pet,
petrichor.
Petrichor, yeah, yeah, no, it's petrichor, yeah,
English
literally.
major. Fuck everyone.
But the whole time I'm like petrichor, 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 like the whole
Yeah.
time in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah,
It
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it was so like, let the rain fall down. Like,
It was so Hillary Duff. That's what George was giving. He was like,
yeah.
"Can I serve cunt as well as Hillary Duff does in the early 2000s?" And the answer is yes, of course.
And of course, yeah. In fact, that's what inspired this chapter. Inspired that song. Is actually what's going.
Yeah,
Was what happened.
obviously.
But no, I just damn, I had to give a tip of the hat. Like I understand now why these books take forever, because the
Hmm.
amount of time I'm sure it takes him to craft those sentences is impressive. Good job, sir. Good job, George. Um, I also love like there's such an interesting twist in this chapter where Catelyn and it's such a lovely like planting and payoff kind of moment, and like we kind of flip the script on its head of where Catelyn is constantly having to hide who she is and is noticing
Hmm.
she is treated differently, right? That like
Yeah.
people do not give two shits who she is. Like the only reason that she matters in this world is her title, right? Like and people like people she knew from her childhood like not recognizing her and giving her only like the barest minimum of courtesy, you know, service workers not actually like liking her, like and being like you can have the room above the bell tower but that's all we got. Right, like
No, I totally agree. It is such like a fun way of like again juxtaposing like Ned's reception where he is again just walking around with his name tag. He's walking around with a giant name tag on, versus Catelyn who's like trying to hide and then getting like the finally understanding like how women who are not, the daughters of lords are treated on the regular.
yeah.
It is a fascinating thing to observe.
But then it flips on its head by the end of the chapter of where she's like because she's like, I kind of know these people. I know that guy. Like, I've met that guy before. I know this person. Like, I know whose houses these people
Hmm.
are. And then she kind of in her head, like, once, because she's far more calculating than Ned is, and is like, you know, because she was like musing earlier in the chapter of like, oh, like, would the river land, would the river lands like rise? and like help us out
Mhm.
if they were called. Like I don't know. Some of them didn't fight with us in the rebellion, so who knows? And so
On that, sorry. Hold your thought. Hold it in your head. Hold it. Are you holding it? Good.
uh,
I just like on that note before we forget, one of my favorite because there's like anytime there's a Catelyn chapter, we have like lore drops. One of my favorite ones that we hear in this is how Lord Frey got his nickname because at the Battle of the Trident during Robert's Rebellion, Hoster Tully, who you know is Lord of the Riverlands, calls all his banners to come fight Rhaegar Targaryen and the Loyalist army, and Walder Frey doesn't show up until the battle is literally over, and then claims like, "Yeah, no, I was showing up to side with you guys. What are you talking about?" And so they give him the nickname the Late Lord Frey, because get it, because he was late, but also because he's fucking old as shit. Because he's dead. He's a corpse. Anyway, I'm sorry. Remember that thought you held? You
yeah,
held it, and
yeah,
now you can give it to me now. Thank you.
yeah. You know what it is? It's in Muppet Treasure Island. Doing Muppet Treasure Island when they're like, old Tom, nearly dead Tom, oi oi, like it's that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but no, but what's interesting with Catelyn is like she's been hiding that, and then she's been making these calculations constantly of like, would these people rise? Like, would they answer the call? Like, if they were called upon, and then at the end of the chapter, she's like, time to find out. Like, and so then we have a reveal moment, right? Like the hood comes off,
Mhm,
and she goes and she's like, hey, fuck this guy. He tried to kill my son. When he was a
mhm.
guest in my house, and we have a lot of rules about guests in this universe. And it's very important that you don't mistreat people when you are a guest, or you don't mistreat your guests. It's very important. So he broke that sacred thing, and so fuck him. And immediately everyone's like, time to fuck this guy up, I guess.
I love that the way George does like the mic drop at the end of this chapter where she like she finishes like the big speech and then all at once all the guys stand up and pull their swords out and Tyrion is just like staring like mouth hanging open. I'm like, yes, good job, we
It
applaud you, sir.
like, and I think about this scene from the TV show. I love this scene in the TV show. It's so
Hmm.
good, so satisfying the way they
Yeah.
did it. It's such a good adaptation in that particular moment. Like the acting is
Hmm.
at a 10, like everything about it, the way that it's framed, like the final shot of where like you don't see them draw the swords, you see the close up on Tyrion's face, and then like you hear the swords, and then it slowly goes out, and you see everyone's pointing a sword. It's so good. Like good job. Good when the TV show was good actually. Um
Yeah.
but God, sorry, I made myself sad thinking about that. But like I love it, and this chapter was so good. Like these last two chapters, I loved the endings. Like they were good
Hmm.
endings. He ended
Yeah.
it on a bam, you know, a little mic drop.
He's pulling and I know she became a novelist after him, but it's what I have grown to associate with Suzanne Collins and any like Hunger Games book, because that is how she ends literally every chapter. Every chapter ends with like someone like being stabbed or like about to fall off a cliff, or like someone like Machiavellian walking into the room when the grand entrance and then cut to black. This whole like cut to black thing, like at a very at a moment of like heightened excitement, is why you like want to keep reading the books,
Yeah,
and is just like a brilliant writing choice.
yeah, no,
Um, yeah.
it's great. I will also say my other thing, because we can't forget to mention it, the food.
Oh,
The
the
food.
food, the
This
food.
chapter made me so hungry.
Yeah. No, I get the and I will say I want to say the food talk for the next chapter because that one goes
So hard.
ham literally, um just too much. But before we wrap this one up though, I do want to talk about, because this is another moment where people get in their feels about Catelyn, and we need to address it. So, Spicer, in the fandom, when people like to hate this woman, weird that's always a woman, it's typically one of the things that's cited is this chapter, and they say that had Catelyn not, arrested Tyrion, taken him into custody, that Ned would somehow survive, and none of the other things that led to Ned's passing would have occurred. I think anyone who is paying attention and not a sexist might be able to tell that I think there was more to Ned's Ned's passing than just this moment. But I would like to talk about like the moment in context. So this moment, unfortunately, for all the people who want to argue otherwise, is very logical. We talked earlier about how Catelyn is a planner. She likes to think 12 steps ahead, and in this moment, she isn't able to do that. She is confronted with something where she needs to make an instant decision, and looking at all of the context that she has, the facts that she has, I don't know that any sane person would make a different choice. Because if we remember that she has just gotten the information, we know it's not true, but like according to everyone who agrees, she believes that Tyrion killed Bran, or sorry, attempted to kill Bran. And beyond that, we have uh we have the context of her trying to be undercover, right? So the reason that she had to, do all the sea traveling to King's Landing, the reason that they are hiding on the road is they don't want to be discovered because Catelyn Stark not being at Winterfell is weird and would set off alarm bells. So because she has gotten to this moment where like obviously no one in the Riverlands is going to recognize her anymore. She hasn't been there in years. There shouldn't be anyone around that knows her face. She gets very unlucky. She has bad luck, which hey, happens to a bunch of characters, a lot of them that you'd like to defend, people on the internet. Sorry, I'm not bitter. Anyway, and so with that bad luck, we have the one person that she would not want to be there nor to recognize her because it's going to set off alarm bells and it's probably going to put people in danger. So she can let him go and then, let the let the dice roll and land where they may and then see how he's able to fuck things up from there, if he is in fact the killer, or she can take him into custody and try to do something about it. Neither option is great. She picks the lesser of two evils. Fuck you, everyone on the internet.
Well, it's like all. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm fine. It's also like you have to think about her in her emotional context. This is a,
Yeah.
this is a mother who's still grieving her
Mhm.
almost death of her child, and then literally had to
Yeah.
fend off an assassin. Like,
Yeah.
like, and she's pretty sure that it's this guy. She has evidence to
Yeah.
support that. We find out later that that evidence was a red herring, right, and
Mhm.
was a plant meant to deceive somebody smart like Catelyn. But
Mhm.
like, no, she like it makes sense. Like it makes sense to me. Like, is it a hasty move? Yeah, no, it totally is. Like, it's a totally hasty move. But it's
But like,
like,
what else would she supposed to like?
no,
What's the other option? Just let he has now identified her in the middle of a crowded room, and like, she should she let him go and then just like sorry, not no, I'm not suggesting that that's what you're saying. I'm just saying
yeah,
when people like harp on this, like, what's the other option that you think like would turn out so much better, in a world where Tyrion is guilty? Yeah.
because if Tyrion is guilty, she's never going to get another opportunity to get him, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just do you really think that Lord Lannister would hand over one of his
No.
sons, even though he hates his sons? Do you think he
Mhm.
would hand him over to the Starks for a trial? Like do you really think that that is what's going to happen? That he's going to
Yeah.
hand over
No.
his son? Like that's just it. This is probably her only chance she's going to be able to make sure that who she thinks tried to kill her son has any accountability. She's going to
Mhm.
take it.
And the only way that she can at least try to control the situation for a little bit longer, because if she lets him go, she does not know what he's going to do. She doesn't know who he's going to notify. If she captures him, like, yes, it's going to, cause some issues, but she can control the narrative for just a little bit longer. She can try to like make a couple more moves if he's in custody versus the who the fuck knows if she lets him go. And then I feel like beyond that, people also, when they're like up in their feelings about this, it's like it's reader like or like audience clairvoyance. Like, we know that Tyrion isn't responsible, so this is ultimately like the wrong move, but to not acknowledge that within the context of the scene, the available information, this is the not only the correct move, but I think the smart move, because again, you get to control the situation for just a little bit longer. And for Catelyn, that's pretty important. For someone who likes to think, several moves ahead, buying herself more time to do so is smart. Anyway,
but it's
end of rant.
no, it's fine. It's like my final little thing I'll put in is like it doesn't make sense to me because it's like you're not really thinking about this as a story. Like,
Yeah.
like Catelyn's not
Yeah.
real. Like Catelyn's not real. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, she's not a real person.
She got Ned killed.
Yeah.
She got him killed. My boy, my real boy, he's gone. I know.
Like,
no, I agree.
You do realize these are dragons. Like, there's dragons in these stories. Like, it's not real. It's a story. You have to, and like that's like it's like George is doing a thing here. Like, like he's doing a thing here. See, like it's kind of like a tragedy because like tragedies. It's like the whole thing of like, oh no, like one wrong decision is what catapults everything else. Like, have you?
But also, it's not this wrong decision either.
Yeah, no, exactly.
There's 50 things happening at once, and you're pitting it on this one woman doing one thing. Like, not acting like if you look behind her, there's 50 other dominoes, and looking in front of her, there's 50 more other dominoes that are like, what the fuck?
And also, literally, your fave, your boy, Ned, is over here in King's Landing, marching around with a fucking megaphone, being like, I'm doing sneaky things.
With his name tag, with his fucking name tag.
Like
giant, like a cartoonishly big name tag.
Make way for the hand of the king.
Multiple name tags, because he has wolves sewn into his fucking clothes, and giant hand of the king chains around his neck, going like, "Look at me! It is me doing investigating."
He's got literal bling. He's got literal bling. Like he is Flavor Flav walking around King's Landing, but no, Catelyn's the idiot. Catelyn's the idiot. Like, that doesn't. I don't get that. Fandom, boo on you. Not a fan. Anyways, those are my thoughts on this chapter.
Samesies. So on a very light and not rageful note, let's take one more break. Okay. And we're back. So moving on to Sansa 2, we got a tourney. Sansa is so fucking excited because she gets to go to a tourney, and boy is it bloody. Sansa gets to meet Littlefinger. He's a fucking creep. She gets to see her first death. That's weird. And then her little friend gets too scared, but Sansa's like, nah, I'm tough. I can look at death. This is interesting. But then Joffrey shows up and is like, hey, I'm gonna act like a human again, which she's like, okay, cool. Maybe I misjudged this situation. But don't worry, he's still a dick because he's not gonna escort her back to the castle after Robert Baratheon blows the fuck up because he's a drunken piece of shit. And instead of Joffrey escorting her back, he's like, hey, Hound, why don't you and this young 13-year-old walk, no, not 13, 11-year-old walk alone back to the castle? I'm sure she'll feel safe with you. But hey, we share some trauma though, because the Hound is like, hey, you want to hear how I got these scars? But then, I'm sorry. But then Sansa's like, no, I am a good young woman. I know how to behave. And it's actually a very interesting conversation. I love this conversation a ton. They basically like compare their thoughts because they have opposing thoughts on knighthood in general. Sansa loves knights. Sandra's like, that's bullshit. You've met my brother, the Mountain. He's a piece of shit. He's also a knight. What do you think about that? And eventually they come to like this kind of uneasy like understanding where she's like, oh, well, not all knights are good. He wasn't a true knight. And Sandor like can agree with that despite him thinking it's bullshit. He's like, no, he isn't acting right, and I think that's a beautiful moment. Okay, end of summary. Spicer, what'd you think about things? Natural segue, go.
Sansa can't win. Like
No.
Sansa cannot win. Every time she's like, I finally get the thing that I want. The world is like, nah, bitch. Like your perfect little thing, your perfect little date ruined with
Yeah.
the murder of your wolf. Um, your perfect tourney day ruined by your sociopathic boyfriend and his mentally unstable bodyguard. Like the whole time,
Oof.
this whole chapter, I'm like, this girl is 11. Why is everyone, Littlefinger, please stop petting the child.
Oh my God.
So,
She just wants to go to the tourney, okay? She has spent her whole goddamn life hearing nothing but shit about tourneys and how magical this shit is. And she's like, I made it. I'm here. I get to go to Disneyland. Can I just enjoy the parade, goddammit? Why is creepy guy in his Mickey ears leering at me and going, oh, you got a pretty dress on, little girl? Like, what the fuck, man?
the king is giving a festival. I
Oh
wish to go
God.
to the festival and the ball. It was his birthday the other day. Happy birthday, Steve.
Yeah, he's dead still. But
Oh,
happy birthday.
um, but no, I feel so bad. But also, I love this is such a beautiful chapter because we one every Sansa chapter is her slowly realizing, oh,
Hmm.
like that, because it's like I wrote like I love how we are seeing Sansa learn the ways of the court. Like
Hmm.
every chapter we get, she slowly is learning a new lesson every single time of like, oh, everything that I was taught was wrong, and
Hmm.
this is not how I should actually conduct myself. And it's so funny because like at the beginning of the chapter, she is behaving in the way that she's supposed to, right? Once again, being a good little lady in this patriarchal society, and she is being the role that was prescribed to her. But like it is getting every time like she is faced with some sort of like problem, she realizes more and more like, oh wait, this is not preparing me for this world. And it's like funny because even like Septa, like I love the way that the Septa is written into this chapter because like the Septa like is representative of like that worldview, right? Of like literally we have
Hmm.
our Catholic nun like being
Hmm.
like, your stocking, raise your stockings, young lady, like don't show any skin, like. And she like even at the tourney, like when she like he was writing like, she tried not to flinch, and she was trying to be like a good, because she knows that a lady composes herself at a tourney, even though there's like a literal death happening in front of me, and she's like, weird, I didn't cry. Like, weird how this affected me not at all. And then, but then, and she's like, is that like, I love that whole thought process of like, am I, am I a sociopath? She's like, why do I not care that this man has died? And she's like, no one's gonna sing songs about this man. I don't even remember his name. Like, and he just died in front of us.
But then she does. Well, I will say along with that, because she does say she's like, no, I think I would react differently if it was like Harwin or like one of the people I've grown up around. And then when she is thinking about him, she's like, yeah, no one's gonna sing songs about him. That's sad, actually. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it is sad.
Which like it sounds like you not a sociopath because guess what,
No.
that is a very normal thought process, and that's actually a very empathetic thought process that you just had. So I God I but it's just so interesting because like we have Septa like nodding in approval. It says like how she nodded in approval about how Sansa like was behaving, and then later in the
Mhm.
evening when she really needed the Septa, right, her representative figure of like training and virtue and like how one behaves himself in this society, she's literally asleep, right? Like she's literally asleep. She cannot be woken up, and now I have to go and have this the Joker take me home like this absolute crazy person who is also very big and very scary, and I am an 11-year-old girl. Be-
Yeah, no, it's very unfortunate and kind of interesting to see how because the reason like Septa Mordain passes out is because she can't say no to Joffrey, so she continues to like drink until she literally passes out. And I think it's a very interesting. I don't know if this was the intent or something, but like the Septa Mordain, the embodiment of like how a woman should behave in society, isn't able to like do her job, fulfill her role, whatever, because she is playing by the rules that have been like put around her because she has to listen to the royalty, she has to do this. And so conforming doesn't ultimately help her. It leaves her, passed out in the middle of a place that I assume is gonna be like empty soon. So I hope she's cool and like not, hurt by any like passing stranger. But then like Sansa, who chooses moments to kind of evolve, does a little better. And so I think it's like kind of indicative of like you do kind of have to evolve if you want to be in control of the journey that you're on, like in this place
yeah,
as a woman.
yeah, no, I think it was a very interesting way that George was telling that story with the Septa and like how the Septa acts and it's like it's very beautiful metaphorical writing. Like I love it, George. Good job. Good job, George. Also, Jesus, the joust stops for no one. Like
No,
this was a
no.
thing that people used to do. Like,
Yeah.
this was a thing that people used to do. They're like, hey, we're bored. You know what we should do? Let's do a sport where you could die. And actually, like, you're kind of encouraged almost to kill the other person. Like, because then it's more fun. Because we like watching people die. Like,
And I love how this is the idea that like when the Dothraki are doing it over in Essos, it's barbarism. Oh, it's savagery. Ooh, but you know what? If we do it in our metal suits, if we do it like on our horses with our long sticks instead of long swords, it's different. It's not the same. And like, yeah, people are watching, kind of like laughing at it, but we're different than them. Okay, like we're not the same. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah.
it's also just like I think I like that George kept a lot of the sort of chivalry type stuff from medieval lore in his
Hmm.
world because I think he's doing a very interesting thing of like pointing at the hypocrisy of this society, right? Like, and he's
Yeah.
of like, because like Lord of the Rings, they don't do shit like this, right? Like, there's not like tourneys, there's not like jousting, there's not that. But like George, like very specifically was like, nah, I'm going to like keep this in this book. Like, I want this aspect, and I want there to be chivalry, and like this whole society is like obsessed with this, right? And it's like, but it's also pointing at the hypocrisy of the society that like yeah, you have chivalry, but you're also okay with like killing people for fun. And this 11-year-old girl then has this like existential crisis of like, why am I not crying? Like,
But this is what I love about. I mean, this chapter specifically, but Sansa's arc in general is she is kind of like our avatar within like this world of chivalry and stuff because she starts out like a full believer. She believes in the system as it's been set up, as it's been presented to her, and then slowly, as she is exposed to more and more of it, not just in theory but in actual practice, she starts to see the hypocrisy herself. She starts to realize that, like, oh, this world of like songs and tourneys and knights isn't exactly what I expected it to be, but like it isn't. She doesn't fully throw it away. It's like she becomes a bit more of a realist in the sense that she recognizes that this is still something to aspire to, like the broad concepts of, like, the good knight, but in practice it isn't always going to be that way, and so it is something that you do need to work towards, and it isn't a given. So like I have to be vigilant and watch these crazy ass people, because a lot of the times, even if they are a knight, like Sir Gregor Clegane the Mountain, they're not going to act as one should. And that's what I love about the interaction between her and the Hound, is he is, like, coming at it from the exact opposite. He thinks like all of knighthood is bullshit, because like he's always known the hypocrisy. He had his face disfigured by his brother, and then, a couple years later his brother was like made a holy knight, because knighthood is like a religious thing in the context of this world. And so if his brother, who is a monster, is that, then obviously it's all bullshit. And like their interactions, you watch as like she starts to clue in to, like, oh, it isn't always like a good thing, it can be bullshit. But he also like acknowledges that, okay, you know what, like Gregor is bad, and so knighthood could be bullshit, but he's also like not acting as a knight should act. And I think that that's like super key, because he's acknowledging that there is like a correct version of it. And that's really interesting. I made a video on TikTok a while ago talking about this specific scene, and how I think like it's kind of like the real beginning of both their journeys, because he like slowly gets better as he starts to like realize that like there is actual like good in the world. It isn't like all bullshit. There is something you can aspire to. And then her like learning from him that, like, oh, there is nuance to the world. It isn't all just, this black and white. And so they're both like kind of correcting the other's overcorrection, if you will. And I think it's very interesting.
He's over here singing Sweeney Todd. There's a hole in the world like a great black pit, and it's been filled with people who are filled with shit, and the vermin of the world inhabit it. And she's over
Uh-huh.
here singing Into the Woods. Like, very different vibes. They're both giving very
Yeah.
different vibes.
Yeah.
No, no, I completely agree. It's a very nice way that we're framing this world, and also the way that different people are negotiating it. And
Hmm.
people are kind of walking away going, "Oh, I don't think it's black. I don't think it's white. It's probably a little gray." And I like that.
Hmm.
Um, Also, I love when she freaks out over Sir Lawrence giving her the red rose. I she is
Sir
so
Loris, the most beautiful boy that ever existed, the love of my life, the gorgeous, gorgeous man, all covered in roses and like gold, like Jesus Christ.
girl. Are you not clocking this tea right now? Like that is a
No.
gay boy. That is a gay man. I don't care how many roses he throws at women. Girl, that is denial is a river in Egypt. That night is
Your
gay.
husband is
Is
gay.
gay. Yeah.
Oh my God. I love Sansa falling for a gay man. I love that. I feel like that's gonna read true for a lot of young women reading this. Like, oh yeah, been there, girl. No, they trick you. They trick you with them being like nice and not being assholes.
No, yeah, no. Sorry, ladies. Um, yeah, also, as I said earlier, Littlefinger, why are you touching the child?
Hmm.
That is my thing I'm saying for this entire chapter is why are we touching the child? Like the Hound, why are we touching the child?
Yeah,
Littlefinger, why are we touching the child? Why are we touching the child? Please stop touching the child. I don't want you to touch the child anymore. I'm uncomfortable. This is
please.
an 11-year-old girl.
Begging. Yeah.
Um, and also, another bar that George drops with Cersei, describing her face was a mask so bloodless it looked like it could have been sculpted from snow.
Yeah.
Like
That
bars,
shit.
dropping
Yeah.
bars. Like, oh,
So good. It's like, damn. Damn.
damn. Also, I love Robert having his bridezilla meltdown. Um, it's my special day.
It's not though. It's you did this for Ned. Remember, this is Ned's special day, but you're making it about yourself. Weird, Robert. How weird of you. God damn. Urgh.
I am just because I forgot this happened in the TV show too, and I'm like, oh yeah, Robert's just like a giant child, like
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a
Giant man baby. I
man
can't.
baby, so drunk on off his fucking ass. Can't relate. And just making mistakes, saying dumb shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyways, but and also the way remember how at the end of this chapter the hound threatens to kill a child.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember how he's like, "Hey, if you ever tell anyone this very vulnerable thing that I shared with you, I'm going to kill you."
Yeah, we had this like lovely moment of of growth for both of them, and then he's like, "Hey, but don't forget, I am a murderer, and I will prove it to you."
Remember the butcher boy? No, you don't because it's been so long. Like
Yeah, no, real bummer.
real bummer. And that was the other thing is I'm like, oh, the hound, he had some growth. Look at him being vulnerable. And then it's like, ah, there she is. There she is
Yeah,
being a fucking monster.
here she is, world. Here she is, boys.
Is the hound. Oh my god. I want to see that actor do Rose's turn. That's the guy who played.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh god. Give it to
yeah,
us. It'd be so good.
be so good.
All right. That's those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on the chapter.
Great. No, same here. I love this chapter. Really, and I just want to reiterate, Sansa's had two chapters so far, and both of them have been fucking awesome. And like maybe like people on the internet, we grow a little bit and like acknowledge that these are some of the best chapters in the whole series. Cool? Okay, cool. Okay, let's move.
Feelings.
Let's move. Feelings. Let's move right along to our next segment. We have a question of the week. This time it comes from Spotify. I did not take a screenshot of it, so I forget your name, but you are in our thoughts and prayers as I repeat this. So you asked, because we are obsessed with death, apparently. Is there any POV character we would rather not be alive at this point? I thought that was an interesting question. Is there I guess like another way of putting it is like, is there a POV that we like don't want as much at the moment? Which I think is weird to ask this early because like they're all still pretty important at this point.
I was
We
about
haven't gotten to like book 5 where there's like a couple. I'm like, okay, maybe we could do without them.
Yeah, I was supposed to say because it's also just like 5 people at this point. Like,
Yeah. So no, I don't think there's any. I do not actively wish death upon any of the any of the POV characters.
nope.
Sorry.
Nope. Can't wait for old Nan's
But
POV.
yeah, we're waiting on old Nan. Like, oh, I would sacrifice all the characters if we can get an old Nan POV. How about that?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then we end the series. But yeah, remember, if you want to ask us a question, please feel free to leave it in the YouTube comments or under the Spotify, whatever. Just yeah. And then up next, spice cake, spices like from India, because that's where the Europeans went, and then they didn't use them. Anyway, favorite death of the week, Spicer. We have an option.
We do. We do. We have. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
an
nameless
important
knight.
option.
You nameless knight. Does he have a
But
name?
we know who the knight is.
Who's the knight again?
If you didn't catch on, it was a knight from the Vale with brand new armor who didn't know how to put it on correctly because he didn't have a squire with him because he's a brand new knight from the Vale of Arryn. You know where John Arryn was the lord.
Uh, uh,
Ooh, it's not hitting. So remember how John Arryn had a squire that Ned is investigating? Yeah.
I
But
didn't.
that squire was knighted after John died, and then somehow was able to afford a brand new set of armor from Tobo Mott. um, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
got it. It's all come together.
yeah, yeah. There you go. It's almost like Sir Gregor, a vassal of House Lannister, took out the one person with some information about Lord Aaron's death, which we will find out about next week in our
Ah,
chapters.
got it. Well, yeah, there
Um,
was. Okay, that makes more. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Well, yeah, I love that death. That was a great death. Good, good, good,
yeah.
good, good death.
Oh, and then I will include because, like I said, we would talk about later, and then we didn't. I will say the feast that got murdered during the tourney,
Yeah.
that huge feast where we spent like I swear, like what was it, like 2 paragraphs or something, going over every course of this meal in great detail. Finally, ending on the lemon cakes that are Sansa's favorite that she couldn't eat because she's so full, so she only ate a little bit. Even the lemon cake is her favorite. So many dishes, so many.
I will say the way that the meat was described cooking, like,
Yeah,
and it was like the way like how it cracked. I was like,
yeah.
God, this is unnecessary, and I now want a rack of lamb. Like,
George wrote this at lunchtime, and we are now suffering, 20 some years later for it. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um, but that's all I got. So,
that's all I
for
got.
next week, yeah, great, wonderful. Okay, so next week our chapters are going to be Eddard VII because it's really going to be Ned heavy from this point on. Eddard VII, Tyrion IV, and Arya III. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Say bye, Spicer.
Bye, Spicer.